Welcome back to the channel, friends. Here with another video in which I want to talk about how you can get the highest interest rate for your money. And I want to make this a monthly thing because I keep on getting the question of where to keep your cash, right? I think it's very important because I'm all about maximizing my money and you should be doing the same. And I think while obviously most of my money is in investments in real estate, Bitcoin, ETFs, stocks, whatever it is, right? You may have different investment classes. In recent times, more and more, I love the idea of having some cash sitting around. And I always recommend two different piles of cash. One is an emergency fund, which you really just keep for exactly that, an emergency. You can't plan for it. It just sits there until you really need it. Another pile of cash is, your money that you use for daily living, or if you see opportunities in the market or want to buy real estate, whatever it is, right? There is a need for cash. Now, it shouldn't be, 90% of your portfolio in cash. That wouldn't be smart because obviously, as we all know, cash loses money to inflation. But having some cash sitting around, I think really gives you that freedom and optionality. And that's why I think it's very important to still maximize the money while it sits there. Because I don't know about you, but in my local bank accounts where I was living in previous countries, I usually got a big fat zero. And I'm talking about not locking up your money. Now, you could lock up your money for 1 year or even 2 years to get a higher interest. But I don't like that, right? The whole point of having an emergency fund is I can't plan for it. The same with money, right? If I see opportunities, I want to use the money right then and there and not wait until, the 2 years are up. And that's why I really talk about options where you can put your money without locking it up, earning interest, and being able to withdraw it anytime you wish. Jumping over to my website, matchmybroker.com, where I actually have the latest updates here for the best high-yield savings account in Europe. And don't worry, I'll come to in a second also for the UK. So we'll cover both of them for June 2025. And that's why I think, obviously those percentages, they keep on changing all the time. So I will update this article over here on a monthly basis, as well as probably also keep those monthly videos coming because I think, it's relevant and a lot of people, are interested in the topic of where they can allocate the money to work harder for them, not the other way around, right? Starting with the highest payer to the lowest pay. And you can see it's a combination of banks, traditional banks, some neo brokers like stockbrokers, as well as some other digital fintech companies that are making money through lending, which in a way is similar to a bank would. And we'll come to this in a second. So the idea is to just go through, give you a bit of feedback on each of them, and then obviously share with you which of those I'm using and can recommend. And then afterwards, we go to the UK. So let's kick things off with Interactive Brokers. And you can see over here, the interest rate is really not that attractive to park cash here. So while I can absolutely recommend Interactive Brokers to invest your money into stocks, ETFs, it's an amazing broker. I've been using it for a number of years. Amazing. To store your funds, really not recommended in my humble opinion. You can see over here, it's also very confusing, right? Global interest rates over here. You see all the different interest rates where you could be getting money. But yeah, basically you can see even if you have less than 10,000 euros in your balance, well, you get a 0% over there. Only over 10,000, it will go to 1.752%. And that number has been coming down. And again, obviously, those numbers do fluctuate on a monthly basis. So that's why I keep on updating it on a regular basis so you know what's happening. But yeah, generally, the rates are low. And of course, also the threshold to even earn interest is quite high. So I really don't think, unfortunately, is the best option for you to keep your money. To invest your money, great, but to keep cash, I can't recommend it. Same with Wise. Wise is a great tool and application that you can use to send money internationally, receive money. I think offers a lot of benefits and perks. But to keep your cash at 1.95%, again, I personally just wouldn't use that. It's a popular option because it's easy. If you use Wise anyways, might as well use it, right? So I'm always a big fan of having simplicity, not having 20, 30 different apps. You might get confused and overwhelmed. So if it works for you, great. But know that your interest rate will be less. Now, keep in mind, obviously, I'm talking about here euro rates. You can, of course, get a higher interest rate if you exchange your money to dollars, for example, or pounds. We'll come to this a little bit later. Then you would get a higher interest rate. But on euros right now, as the ECB has once again, obviously, lowered interest rates, those have come down in recent times. Then there's also Lightyear, great app if you're investing in ETFs, commission free. Really, really love that tool. Love the application. Amazing, one of the cleanest and sleekest interfaces. And the interest rate is not too shabby. Right now it's 2.21%. Again, it does fluctuate from time to time. And also do keep in mind, if you keep it on Lightyear app in the cash account, which most people actually do by default, if you deposit money into your Lightyear account, it will be in the cash balance. But you can see here, it's only 0.75%. So from there, it's very easy. Just one button, you move it to your savings balance, and then it has 2.21%. Again, it might be subject to fluctuation, but that's what it is right now. And yeah, that's obviously more attractive. Now, usually how it works, you invest into money market funds. And a lot of the apps you see over here that pay a higher interest often invest into a money market fund. Now, it is slightly riskier, but then again, also large institutions and even pension funds are parking their money in money market funds. It's very liquid. You do get a high interest, and I personally feel quite comfortable with it. But do keep in mind that usually the money parked in the money market fund is not part of the asset protection that some banks and brokers do offer. Then we have some other options over here, which are all paying fairly similar amount, which is quite interesting. We have Mintos over here, which is another popular P2P platform. If you're using them, it might make sense to keep some cash sitting over there as well. Scalable Capital, big provider, I think mostly focused in Germany and some of the German-speaking countries. They do plan to expand, but for now, yeah, that's what you get over there with them. N26, quite, they want to be a competitor to Revolut from Germany. So definitely very, very solid, bank and broker. So if you have been using them, I think 2.25% is not shabby. I don't use them myself, but if I would use them, I would definitely keep some money over here because again, it just makes things simpler to have all under one, app, so to say. Vivid is another, popular startup, also from Germany, that seems to emulate, N26, Revolut. So, really a neobank, so to say. So again, paying a similar amount. Then we have Bank over here. I think they're from Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken. Pays slightly higher. Often, again, those companies do that strategically, right? Because, 0.01% higher, you're already high in the ranking. But still, I think really a solid provider. They've been around for quite a while, and they really focus mostly, as I understand, on saving. You can see over here the different benefits they're offering and so forth. So definitely very, very solid app. Again, I'm not using them myself, but I heard good things about them, so you can really check it out. And again, also very similar to all the other apps we spoke about, which you feel most comfortable with, but also which is available in your country, right? Because we know in Europe, notoriously, not all the apps are also working in all the various European countries, unfortunately. Then we have Trade Republic, which is also playing the marketing game 0.02% higher than the other ones at 2.27%, which is interesting. They were for quite a while at 2.25%, so they increased it a little bit. If you're happy with Trade Republic, great, stick with it. I personally had, unfortunately, a quite negative experience, same as my wife, who is still chasing her money, which they keep because they basically closed our accounts without telling us why. And I heard a lot of other stories similar to people who move countries. They really don't like you to move country, which is really annoying, right? Like you want to have an international bank or broker that can move with you. Now I understand if the broker is not available in a new country, but even friends who moved to another European country had a lot of issues. It's unfortunate. So I can only say that the percentage is slightly higher than some of the other apps over here, but personally, I really can't recommend Trade Republic at this stage. However, on the contrary, what I can recommend is definitely Trading212, an app I've been using for the longest of time. Really amazing broker. You can see I also use them to buy stocks and ETFs over here. Really simple interface. And yeah, as you can see over here, they really pay some nice interest on different currencies. On euro right now, 2.4%. But yeah, as I mentioned before, on dollars, you can get even higher, up to 4.1%. On pounds, also 4.1%. And, some of the other currencies over here, Polish zlotys, 6%. So I don't have zlotys, but if you do have, well, that's really not too shabby. So if you're already using Trading212, it's probably the easiest way to start earning because you can invest from there. You have your money sitting over there. They also have the Trading212 card. So it's a really nice ecosystem to really put your money to work for you. And if you want to check out Trading212 for yourself, then use my link down in the description below. Or if you already signed up, you can go to promo codes and put code Kai and you'll get a free share valued up to $100 or pounds. So hey, why not? Free money, check it out and make the most out of it. With this, we move over to Revolut and you can see here, they have a range, which is not that high. That's actually on the free plan. And the higher you go on the paid plan, it can go all the way to 2.5% on the ultra plan, which is what I'm on right now. But keep in mind, I'm paying 45 euros for this plan every single month. However, I use Ultra because I get many other benefits like airport lounge access, cashback on my Pro card 1%, many other nice benefits as well, such as a free subscription to Financial Times, NordVPN, and many other nice services that I get free of charge as part of my plan. Purely for the interest, I don't think it's worth paying for a higher plan because the difference is not that huge. As I said, you could use an app like Train212 where you get 2.4%, almost the same as Ultra, without any subscriptions, right? Free of charge just by having an account over there. So, I think that's probably the better option if you're purely going by interest rate. And then you see over here a real outlier, which is Bondora at 6%. And I was actually thinking whether I should put them over here or not, because they are a little bit different the way they work. Because technically, it's not a broker, but then it's not also a bank. It's a modern fintech solution. In the past, there used to be what you would call a P2P lending platform, but they have rebranded and really simplified the product offering. And now it's actually really simple to use. And they actually have the ambition to eventually become a bank. They're based from Estonia. You can see in total invested over 1.6 billion euros. And I like that they simplified the offering because previously I could not recommend them because you had to choose your own loans, where to invest and so forth. Now you literally just deposit your money. And as soon as the money hits your account, it will start working for you. You can see over here my account balance, and yeah, it shows I feel comfortable myself with it, right? It's my own money. I wouldn't keep it here if I didn't feel safe with them. And well, you see the interest earned so far, and the cool thing is it's paid out every single day. Now earn €1.60. Well, it's not life-changing money, but hey, this is free money that I wouldn't have otherwise, right? So I might actually in the future increase that balance over here because I really feel comfortable. And the good thing is I can withdraw it anytime. And that's why I can recommend them. In the past, I wouldn't have recommended other P2P platforms because you can't withdraw your funds when you want them, right? Those loans, they go for 12 months or even shorter, but still, you have to wait. Here, if I need the funds right now, I can withdraw them. And for me, that's really what it's all about, that flexibility. Sure, nothing ever comes risk-free, but as I said, even if you go with Trading 212 or Revolut on the higher interest earning plan, you're still going to have a slightly higher risk because, as I said, you'll be investing in money market funds, which are technically not covered. If some kind of black swan event happens and everything goes down to zero, which is highly unlikely, well, guess what? You might lose your money. The same way how you could do with Bondora, potentially. Technically underlying there are different loans that are given out. But then again, for me, it's actually much safer than many other businesses that you could invest in because loans are backed up by real assets, right? Either by a house or by a business, whatever the loans have been given for. And they obviously work with different partners and they actually generate a much higher return in terms of interest for themselves than what they pay us out, which I'm not jealous of. I get a nice interest and at the same time I know that they're much more profitable and earn even more for themselves. So that way it's sustainable and they have been operating for 17 years. So that's why right now I park most of my money on Bondora over here as well as Revolut. And sometimes I used to use Trading 212, but right now, I get slightly more on Revolut. Plus, I'm back in Europe, so I use Revolut a lot to transact on a daily basis. So it makes sense for me to have my funds over there. And so I'm using those two at the top over here. But, any of the other ones are equally good. If you use them already, use whatever is the most simplest for you that you regularly use, right? If it's, 0.2% less, I don't think it makes a huge difference. But yeah, to go with interactive brokers or Wise, probably wouldn't be my recommendation. All right, with this, we jump over to the UK and see how those numbers differ. And right off the bat, you can see the interest rates are higher. And well, it is what it is, right? It obviously depends on what the UK government or what their central bank is dictating in terms of interest. That's all based off that. And that's why, once again, it's very important to really put your money to good use. Because here, once again, we see Wise quite at the bottom. It's not bad, right? 3.74%. But then again, at the top, it's almost a whole percent point more. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, Wise, certainly I wouldn't be recommending. There's Monzo Bank, quite popular in the UK. And again, you see a variance. That usually means that there is a difference in the plan. So on the free plan, might be 3.275. On the pay plan, on the higher plan, you could get up to 3.75. So once again, maybe you're already in the pay plan, makes sense. Is it worth upgrading or paying for a monthly plan or annual plan just for 0.5% more? Probably not. Then you have Starling Bank, another very popular bank in the UK at 3.75%. Then Interactive Brokers, 3.77. So here they're a bit more generous, so not very much at the bottom like they are on the Euro balance, but slightly better, which is nice to see. And even for pounds, you can see over here, only over £8,000 will actually start earning money on that. So that's kind of the threshold to have in your account, which most people, you wouldn't just have that money sitting on interactive brokers because you probably also want to use it, right? Because you can't use a card with interactive brokers. The good thing is on Trading 212, if I want to spend that cash, I can do it with a card. The same with Revolut, many other apps as well. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Then we move over to Monument Bank, a bank I haven't heard of before, but seems quite popular, and 4.03% is definitely quite attractive. However, do keep in mind they have a huge minimum deposit. Only over £25,000 will they pay the interest, which would probably not be appealing to a lot of beginner investors who just want to park a bit of cash on the side. Then we have Plum. I really like their branding, their marketing, really nice. I haven't used it myself since I'm not based in the UK, but heard good things about it. Very easy to use in general. And you can see the offering is quite straightforward. They have cash ISA, lifetime ISA, so it depends obviously what you're after. Then they have the Plum interest, and here you can see up to 4.19%, and you earn the returns daily, which is always nice to see, right? Because a lot of traditional banks, they pay you, monthly or so forth. Here you really see the money for most of them rolling in on a daily basis. It's just, really nice to see when you open your app, you made some money on your money, which is always nice. And here you see why the interest rate kind of differs because, once again, on the free plan, it's a bit lower, 3.57%. But then as you upgrade and you pay more, you get higher interest as well. Probably also other benefits, not just the interest rate. It wouldn't make sense to pay £10 per month to get marginally higher interest rate, but probably also comes with many other perks. If you go into explore plans, you see here all the other benefits that you get. And then based on that, you see whether it works for you or not. Then, of course, we have once again Revolut over here, which also on their pounds does pay a higher balance. I wish they would pay the same on euros. So almost a whole percent point difference between the free plan and the ultra plan. But as I mentioned before on the euros as well, I don't think it's worth paying for the ultra plan. only for the marginally higher interest rates, which you can get, for example, on trading 212 in this case at 4.35% without any monthly subscription. So that would be probably my recommendation. You also have the trading 212 card, which you can use free of charge basically as part of the package. You can get some cash back on that. So really a lot of more perks that you get over here without paying any plan. So I love that. And I was quite surprised to see Lightyear really up here with 4.38%. So this is really very cool. Of course, that's under the savings part, which is part of the money market fund. But hey, 4.38%, and you would get that free of charge just by being a client of theirs. You don't have to pay any extra for any plan. So really, I think Lightyear is an amazing app that you can use to invest, but also at the same time, of course, earn some nice interest on. And lastly, we have Chip at the top over here with 4.56%. So far, the highest I found across the UK. And that's again without any lockup, which is really quite attractive actually. I haven't used it, but I heard really good feedback about them. Do keep in mind that right now it is a promotion for 12 months. You can see it's even higher. Chip Cash ISA at 4.82%. And I do have many different savings plans. If you go savings over here, see, early access account, cash ISA, instant access account, price savings account, see all savings accounts. So this is a bit overwhelming. You have to really choose what works for you. But just keep in mind, depending on where you're looking for, you can see on the Chip Cash ISA, 4.82% is the highest one, but that's only limited to 12 months. Afterwards, you'll go down to the standard rate of 3.04%. So that's also something to keep in mind. Some of them do have some catches. Some of them, they only have it as promotions. But since it was 12 months, I still kept it over here. If it's a 1 or 3 months promotion, I don't really consider them because that's really too short time. 1 year, it's a solid time. That's why I thought it would be relevant to have them over here. But my honest opinion for the UK, I would either go with Lightyear, Trading 212, or Revolut, because these are really all-in-one apps that you can invest with. You can keep your money over there. And in the case of Trading 212 and Revolut, you also have a card, right? So you can spend your money right then and there. Very easy, very simply. Right, friends, there we have it. Hopefully it was useful for you and you start putting your money to good use, maximize the return you can get from it. Yes, obviously you could easily just keep it at your bank account at 0% or maybe 1%, or you could lock it up, but then you're really limiting your flexibility and optionality. So I think these are some better options that you could use. Choose whatever works best for you and help you earn a bit more money from your money. Hope you enjoyed the video. Next up, check out this video here. As always, thanks for watching. Stay healthy, get wealthy, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.